Welcome to Whoreology,
the podcast created to break down shame and stigma around sex and sexuality.
Being a whore is a state of mind.
And we're glad you're here.
Welcome back to the podcast.
Welcome back.
We have Morgan here today.
Hi.
With us.
Welcome.
What's up? Do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Morgan. I'm a mutual friend. I'm 29. I'm a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bisexual.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's relevant.
Yeah, huge.
I live in Philadelphia.
Yes, born and raised.
Born and raised.
She's our local friend.
Yes, I am. I'm usually the local friend of most groups of friends here in this godforsaken city. Yeah.
Amazing.
You say that like you hate Philadelphia.
I don't. It's just that only I'm allowed to hate Philadelphia.
Mm.
Do you know that I hate Philadelphia?
Yeah. And that's a problem. Philadelphia is like my little sibling. Like, I can talk shit about her, but if you talk shit about her, we have a problem.
So today we're talking about Catholicism. I don't know how to say it.
Kind of. Uh-huh. A very prominent topic in Philadelphia.
And your experience with, like, dating and how that affected you, dating and, like, your gender identity and your sexuality and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing we all have in common is that we would all consider ourselves to be late bloomers.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I think that Catholicism is a big explanation for you. So we want to ask you about that because neither of us were raised religious at all. So we're gonna ask Morgan some questions.
We're gonna dive into your psyche.
Fire away.
Do you want to tell us about your experience being raised Catholic?
Sure.
Did you go to church every Sunday?
So, yes. So, what's kind of unique about how I was raised is that I was raised in an air quotes Catholic family where we were not religious at home, but I went to Catholic school or some form of religious school from preschool to senior year of high school. So everything outside of home was religion, always. But luckily home wasn't very much, but we kept along with the routine. So we did go to church every Sunday, prayed before every meal. But it wasn't as in your face at home, but everywhere else, yes.
Do you feel like going to Catholic school and being raised that way affected your views on relationships and sex?
Yes, very much so. I think the best example of that is when I was in high school. At least every other month, I would say, we would have priests come in. So I went to an all-girls Catholic high school, and we would have priests come in fairly frequently to perform confession. So if you are not Catholic and have never done anything like that, basically confession is exactly what it sounds like. You sit next to a priest and you tell him your sins.
What's the craziest thing you've ever confessed?
Nothing. I didn't do anything. And I would actually get stressed out trying to make up sins so that I had something to say.
Oh my god.
But basically, to help us kind of figure out what is a sin is they would cart us all into the auditorium and give us these pamphlets, like these little slips of paper of just examples of things that you can say. And a very long list of the examples was like, oh, what have I sinned about? I masturbated. I thought unholy about someone of the opposite sex. I looked at myself too long, nude in the mirror.
I'm a sinner.
So it's like you're immediately getting these lists of just bare minimum sexual air quotes things that you do naturally as a teenager, and being told you have to go tell this old man that you did this and it's bad. So yeah, big time. Yes, definitely affected how I felt about sex.
That's crazy.
That's definitely crazy.
I don't know.
Scary.
You don't have to answer this on the podcast if you don't want to. Again, I can cut whatever. But you were masturbating at a young age, weren't you?
Yeah, since like birth.
Came out of the womb.
So, and
were you telling them that?
So, no. Because the thing is that the very non-existent amount of sex ed in a Catholic school is that I didn't know that that's what I was doing. I did not know that.
What did you think you were doing?
I don't know. I just know that I was humping a pillow and it felt really good. But nobody, like, that's the thing is that, and like we've kind of talked about this obviously off the pod before, where it's like in being raised in a Catholic community, I know about sex like way earlier than a lot of other people.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is. They didn't tell me. So
They
just
talk about it a lot for people who don't want you to know what it is.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time, but then we don't talk about what the act is.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I didn't know for a embarrassingly long time what the thing that I was doing on the regular was the thing I'm supposed to be confessing.
That's so sad, actually.
A little bit.
Oh my god.
So when did you figure it out?
High school, which is embarrassing.
What part of high school?
That's embarrassing, because it was not your fault.
True. I'd say like 15, like sophomore year.
Okay.
Because that's around when I started to get social media.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
when I was 15 is when I got Facebook for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I felt like I was getting a lot of, I was seeing people post stuff. So my friends are posting things and they're sharing stuff, and now I'm clicking on their note that they made that's basically just a smut story. I'm sure we remember those.
Good old Wattpad.
Good old like old-fashioned 2010 Wattpad, and they're sharing these things, and then I'm like, oh.
Did your parents have rules for dating?
No, because I was a unique upbringing where my parents were not very religious.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, there was not like a strict anything. I did what I was told. And who am I around more hours of the day? It's my teachers and the nuns and the priests. So my parents were always super supportive of everything, but I'm only around them at dinner time. So I'm like, I'm spending most of my day with people who are telling me that that's wrong. So I did not date or anything, but it wasn't something that my parents enforced. It was something that like everything outside of the house enforced, and then I just followed the rules. And also no one wanted to date me, so that also helped.
I didn't go to like a religious school, and my parents weren't religious, but I had a rule that I couldn't date until I was 14.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. It mostly came from my dad.
Okay.
Of course, everyone's like starting to date way younger than that. Mm-hmm. And so when I was 10, I got my first boyfriend. I did not say a single word to this guy. And like we started dating on a Friday. The following Monday, I sent my friend to break up with him because I felt so guilty.
Yep.
And then I did not date anyone else until I was 13. I got another boyfriend where we dated for like a week, and then I felt really guilty again, and so I broke up with him.
See, I feel like I have a very different experience from both of you in that I didn't have any guilt around it or rules that I couldn't date, and I wasn't religious at all. I literally was just like, this is stupid, and people who want a relationship are stupid. Mm-hmm. And that could never be me. Mm-hmm. I also think, obviously I know I'm a lesbian. I didn't know that at the time, so I think I had no interest in boys. I hated when my friends talked about boys. I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. I don't have any good relationship models in my life. So I really was just like, this is the dumbest thing. It's such a waste of time, and I think people who are interested in it are stupid. So I think that I put that on myself. Mm-hmm. There was no outside force telling me not to. Mm-hmm. I was just like, ew.
But I think that's what's interesting about being raised in Catholic school is that at the time, and especially, I mean, I'm a little bit older than you guys, but not that much older, that the culture was completely different, but it's like, we're all watching the Vampire Diaries, and everything is about relationships and teenage love, and then also I go to school and everything is about like, you are a girl and your purpose is to get married and have babies. So all I want, and I dream about and I think about and I write in my journal about, and it's just I want a boyfriend and I want to be in a relationship, but also I'm not allowed. So that's kind of confusing. Of just like, it's literally all I want. I'll cry about it. Like I'm in the 5th grade lying in my twin bed that I want a boy to pay attention to me, but I will never talk to one. Are you crazy?
So
it's like, that's a sin.
It's a sin. So it's very, very conflicting messages at the same time.
That's so sad.
It is sad. Oh my god, and she's been journaling also since the womb.
I have documented evidence
so
of my entire childhood. Unfortunately,
I wish I did, because I don't remember a lot of my childhood.
I want to read her teenage one so bad. It's just her talking about boys. That's it.
It's me talking about boys, how annoying my friends are, how much I hate school.
I
hate my mom.
Oh my god, I wish you brought them and read us like excerpts.
I never will.
What if you just picked an excerpt? Like, we don't get to see it.
Like a really good excerpt
if
of like.
If I come back, I'll have to bring the journals.
Please comment down below and tell Morgan to bring her journals.
And I hate going back to looking at some of the ones when I was a teenager, like all I would do is complain about my mom. And then literally I was out to dinner with my mom last night with my boyfriend, and the first thing he said because this is the only second time he's met my mom, and we're in the car driving home, and he's like, now that I spent more quality time with your mom, like, that's your best friend.
Yeah.
Like, Tina is your best friend. And I'm like, I can't believe there's documented evidence of me 16 being like, she's such a bitch.
Oh yeah. Well, I was the same, where I said I did not like my mom for a period of time, and I have like such profound guilt about it.
Me too.
That I
feel so bad.
I'm like, why was I like that? What a snotty little child.
It's
yeah.
part of growing up.
Yeah.
And she forgives me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about your friends? Were they dating or having sex, or what was their relationship like with this kind of stuff?
Were they all Catholic as well, I'm assuming?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So do you have friends outside school?
And I think I've told you guys this story before. I didn't meet a non-Catholic person until college.
I actually don't think I knew that.
I'm not kidding. There was this, and I've told this story so many times because it's genuinely so profound to me.
Well, we are going to make you tell it again.
Perfect. I went to a I went to my state's, the Pennsylvania State University. I went to Penn State University, where everybody goes. And it was winter finals, and I'm running across campus, and I wasn't paying attention, and I bumped into this girl, and I knocked over all of, like, my books, her books, everything.
That sounds like the start of a rom-com.
It's a rom-com, yeah. It was not, but it was a start of something else, but...
I was going to ask if you fucked her.
No, I did not. I did not realize that I was interested in women yet. But I'm like a freshman in college, but... I knocked her. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I pick up my books, and then she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, oh, it's okay. And then she hands me my stuff, and she goes, you have a happy Hanukkah. And I literally, it's like my whole life flashed before my eyes. I'm like, oh my god, there's a whole world out here of people that are doing other stuff. Like, I sat there and I was like, I will. Thank you. And I'm like, oh, holy shit. This is great. Like, it genuinely blew my mind.
Oh.
So you have a happy Hanukkah?
I did have a happy Hanukkah. But no, everyone I grew up with was Catholic. All of my friends are at the Catholic school. We're in Catholic sports groups outside of school. Like, everything is associated with the church. So yeah, I'm 17 years old when I have, for the first time, a friend who is actively having sex, and not just like once with somebody and then we talk about it for 6 months and then it never happens again. I mean, someone with a girlfriend who is having sex with them regularly. I was like late in my senior year of high school, so very into my young adulthood, like never in my childhood. Yeah.
We had like opposite experiences, like me and you, in that I knew nothing about religion to a fault. I, in my 20s, learned so much about religion from you. Like, from our conversations. Where, so my family's Jewish. But I was raised not religious. So even when I say my family, it's like my extended family. Like I was not, I never had a bar mitzvah or anything.
In the words of George Santos, you're
Jewish. Yeah.
That's George Santa.
Yeah, none of my school friends, like, were religious at all. I think I had some young. I remember my first introduction to anybody who was Catholic. I was in either kindergarten or first grade because my class, like, looped. So we had the same class, same teacher, so they merged together in my head. And I went to go have dinner at my friend's house, and they said grace before they ate. I was so freaked out.
Oh.
I didn't know what was going on.
It's the worst.
And they did the thing with their hands. And I remember I went side of the cross. Yeah.
I thought you meant like.
And I was really like polite and like, yeah, just like pretending it wasn't weird. I went home and I was like, Mom, they're so weird. I need to, like, I don't think I should go back to her house. Like, I don't know if I should go to her house for dinner. Like, her family's really weird. And my mom was like, oh. Now, some people, they're religious.
Some people believe.
I didn't even know what that was. Definitely in elementary school, I continued to be her friend, even though I thought her family was weird. And then I had one other friend who did call me a lesbian in the 4th grade. So shout out to her. She knew. I should have listened.
The gay pipeline is being called a lesbian in like grade school.
Yes. And the two of them were the only like religious friends that I had. But the first one, like, I didn't talk to her past like 2nd grade, and then the second one we talked a lot longer. And that, like, I remember one time we were in maybe like 5th grade, and she asked me if I believed in God, and I said no because I thought that God was like, do you believe in like Santa Claus? And I was like,
right,
no. And she, like, I broke her heart. Like, she was like almost in tears, like, you're gonna go to hell. Do you know that you're gonna go to hell? And again, I was just like, she's weird.
I'm not believing in Santa.
But then I'm like, for what? No, for God. We're not believing in God.
We're believing in Santa.
Why did I hear Santa?
Santa God.
I thought God was like believing in Santa.
Oh!
Yeah.
Santa God, same thing.
You
know?
My brain.
I didn't know that some people, like, that was like a big important thing in their life. I literally was just like, it's like a fairy tale that some children are told about and others aren't. So it didn't even occur to me, like, the repercussions of potentially not believing in God.
Yeah, like, if you don't have a relationship with it, then how would you know?
Yeah, so I was just like, no, like, I was never taught to believe in God. No. Do I believe in God? No. I don't even know what that means. But to her, it was like, that's crazy. You would say that to me. That's life-altering. What are you talking about?
Being raised with it, like, the way that I don't identify as a Catholic anymore.
Oh, I was just about to ask.
Yeah.
And you made a comment once about, like, raising your future children, so I was just, because I was going to make a comment about how Catholicism is a fairy tale. But I didn't want to.
I don't identify as Catholic anymore, and I personally don't believe that there is a God. I don't entertain the idea of organized religion, but I don't fault anyone who does. Like, my mom, I think, has a really good relationship with her faith because she is Catholic, and she looks at it as, well, God gave me a brain, and why would he not want me to use it? And if I think that what the church is teaching is wrong, it is my free will to use the brain that God gave me to not follow that. And she's like, I talk to God in my own way, and I don't think that it's right that some weird pasty white man is going to tell me how to do that. So she has a relationship with her faith. She believes in God, but I really like the way that she goes about it.
Yeah.
And it's very personalized and unique, and I like that. I personally can't get on board with it, but I really like that. Like, if I was ever going to re-enter a relationship with faith, it would probably be like that. Yeah. And then that's a much healthier way of looking at it. But my mother was not raised in any kind of Catholicism or religion, so she has a much blank slate
Yeah.
version of looking at it when she entered into that world, when she married my dad, who came from a very Catholic family.
Yeah.
I went to church a couple times when I was younger, like with my mom. My mom is, like, similarly has a relationship with God. Wouldn't call herself religious, but she, like, goes to church and, like, has, like, a pastor she really likes and things like that. So we went to church a couple times when I was younger, and I, like, viscerally hated it so much that it got to the point where, like, I would, like, when friends organized sleepovers and stuff, if it was a Saturday night and they were like, oh yeah, like, and then, you know, Sunday we'll go to church in the morning, I would tell them, oh, I can come hang out Saturday, but I can't spend the night.
Yep.
Because I did not want to go sit through church.
It is violently boring.
It is. But, like, even further than that, like, I detested it so much. I was like, it was worse than weird for me. Like, I was like, keep it away from me.
Well, I think that, like, even just to kind of bring it back of just, like, the topic of sex and all of that, of if going to church when you don't have that relationship is meaningless. It's this boring speech from some guy. But it's really profound if that's what you feel and you believe in that. But if you're like, oh, what the hell is this? You're like, oh, y'all are in a cult. Like, what's going on? If you don't have that relationship, it doesn't make any sense. It's like you're joining a club halfway through the school year.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the hell's happening?
And everybody's already best friends with each other, and you're not invited.
It's the same thing. Like, it's really difficult to get into that, and it's like, I don't fault anyone for having relationships with faith, but then it's kind of hard to try and go into that, and when someone just invites you in, you're like, what is this? Especially if you have no grounds of knowledge of what it means. But then if you're me, you're born into it. You're just like, whoa, what do you mean you don't know the 10 Commandments?
Yeah. I remember I once made a comment to my mom. She took us to, like, a Christmas Eve, like, mass at midnight. And I made a comment about how church is a lot like a cult. And then my brother and I started Googling what's the difference between religion and a cult.
Great Google search.
Yeah. Well, it turns out that all religion is a cult, but not all cults are religions.
I feel like that's a pretty good definition.
Yeah. And we really upset my mom. it's like 1 a.m. on Christmas Day, and we are fighting in the car. And I felt really bad because I was just like making an observation, and like, I didn't mean to, like, offend her. I, like, wasn't thinking about it, but I was like, oh my god, my mom's in a cult.
Not everything with culty undertones ends in Jonestown.
I know.
Sometimes it ends in Kumbaya.
Sure.
Yeah, I've never and will never have an issue with, like, faith and people believing in whatever you want to believe in. I think that there's a lot of issues with the actual organized religion part. I think especially in Catholicism, unfortunately.
And the putting on of certain ideas about life that aren't yours to decide.
Yes.
And that's where it gets a little bit, that's where it gets shitty.
So you said you found out, or you didn't realize anyone was having sex, or, like, the first person close to you who had sex wasn't until senior year. How did you feel when you found out they were having sex?
I was really jealous because I wanted to do it. But I was too scared. So at the time, I had my first boyfriend. So I had never had, like, a relationship before. I had my first kiss in the 8th grade. And then never kissed anyone ever again until senior year of high school. So it was a pretty wide window. And I remember I was with my boyfriend at the time in high school, and I'm listening to our other friend talk about all the sex that he's having with his girlfriend, and I'm like, that sounds like fun. I want to do that, especially because at this time I've now finally figured out what masturbation is, and that I've been doing it, and I'm like, oh, that feels really good. So I get to do that, like, with another person. That sounds exciting. But that's a sin, and that sounds scary. So I'm not going to do it. So I was with my high school boyfriend for a year, and we never had sex. I would not allow it. We did everything else, but not actual sex. I was terrified. I would not allow it. but I really, really wanted to. I was really jealous.
That's so sad.
Yeah, it is sad. In hindsight,
Yeah.
that sucks.
Yeah.
Because it is fun.
Yeah.
It's great.
Were your friends hooking up?
Yes, and I remember when I found out. So one of my friends, I knew she was like right out of the gate, like hooking up with her long-term boyfriend. When I got close to her, but then my other friend, was like, she made it very clear like pregnancy was her biggest fear, and so she was always telling me that she wasn't having sex with her boyfriend, and then like when her and I stopped being friends, I found out that she had in fact been hooking up with him the whole time. So I was like I felt like shit because I felt like she didn't trust me enough to tell me. She lied to me the whole time. But then I also felt really left behind because I still hadn't had a boyfriend at this point. I hadn't had my first kiss. And now both my best friends were having sex. I was like, I'm just being left in the dust.
Like,
so
this sucks.
yeah, so I did not feel great when I found out like both my best friends were having sex.
Yeah, I was kind of in a super similar position where like I like found out. It's not like any of my close friends at the time like came to me and like confided in me like, oh my god, I just had sex. It's like I found out like through somebody else or like just casually in conversation. And I remember finding out that my and I don't even know if it was her first time, but I remember finding out that my best friend at the time had hooked up with somebody like through somebody else, and I was like, fuck, why didn't she tell me that? But I do think a lot of mine was my like, relationships are stupid. Like I think that I kind of had a habit of pushing friends away who were like boy crazy and stuff, which was a me problem, clearly.
And now like, you know why.
And now I know why. But I do think because of it, I also unintentionally pushed people. Like she probably just felt like that was a conversation I like didn't want to have or didn't want to hear about, which I feel bad about because I did. Even at the time, I was like, well, that sucks. She felt like she couldn't talk to me. Like I didn't want to be friends with a girl who's talking about guys 24/7 and doesn't care to talk about anything else. But like my best friend having sex, I certainly wanted to hear about that, you know? So I felt bad if she felt like she couldn't tell me that.
Yeah, but. And I found out that my best friend, the second one who was afraid of being pregnant, I found out she was having sex because after she broke up with her boyfriend, she had a crush on my coworker that I had a crush on. And I had a long-term crush on him, but I was like, this is never going to happen. So I set them up.
Oh.
And it went well.
That hurt me.
Yeah, it went well. They went on a couple dates, and then her and I stopped being friends, and then she, like, lost her shit a little bit, and broke up with him, and then started threatening him, was, like, showing up at work screaming at him.
Whoa.
And, he came to me, and he was like, I don't remember the full story, but he was like, I'm, like, really scared right now. And she's, like, threatening me. And him and I had, like, a whole heart-to-heart. And then he's the one who told me that they had sex. And I was like, oh, like, I didn't even realize, like, she was doing that. And he was like, well, I didn't, like, take her virginity or anything. Like, it wasn't the first time.
Yeah, I think I was kind of clueless to most of... Like, there were definitely, like... rumors that would go around, like, so-and-so hooked up with so-and-so, and, like, so-and-so did oral in the bathroom, or, like, what?
Damn.
There was weird shit going on in my high school. Oh my god, when I was a senior, 2 freshmen got suspended because they were caught having sex in the bathroom. I don't know what was going on at that
See,
school.
that's also the interesting thing about going to an all-girls school.
Yeah.
Because...
Oh, I didn't realize your school was an all-girls school.
It was all girls, so I think something that was prominent to me, I was a sophomore. And actually, this was my first experience with any kind of gay person at all. And I was working in, like, I was a student worker. I had a free period, and I decided to be a student worker in the attendance office. So I'm 15, I'm a sophomore, and there's one other girl in the office with me, and she's a senior. And we're getting towards the end of the school year, it's prom, and I'm like, oh my god, like, prom... that's so romantic. And all school year, she talks about nothing but her boyfriend. All she talks about is her boyfriend. And I'm 15 and all I want in the whole world is a boyfriend. So I'm like, wow, tell me everything about your perfect boyfriend. So senior year comes around, her senior year, it's prom, and there's a bunch of nuns in the office. And I asked her, I was like, oh, are you going to bring your boyfriend to prom as your date? And she went, no. And I asked why, and she didn't answer. And then when the nuns left, she says to me, so the reason why I'm not bringing my boyfriend to prom is because my boyfriend is a girl.
Aww.
And I'm like, what? And she said, well, I really just wanted to talk about her just all the time because I love her, but I can't talk about a girlfriend in front of the nuns.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I mean, there were very strict rules at my high school. Obviously you can't bring a girl as your date, but we weren't even allowed to go to prom without a man. I was not allowed to go to prom by myself. I had to have a male escort.
That's especially crazy when they're so like, being with a man is a sin.
Yes.
But also you need a male escort.
And I go to an all-girls school. Where am I supposed to meet him?
And your only purpose in life is to find a man.
Yeah.
Is to procreate. What
exactly.
the fuck?
So I couldn't go to prom alone. So I'm like,
Who did you bring?
junior year I brought some dude that I knew from grade school, and then he ditched me immediately, so I was just there by myself.
Aww.
And senior year I had a boyfriend, so I brought him senior year. But I just remember like that it's the same thing as like when I was in college. Like that shook my worldview of like, oh my god, wait, this whole time I've been talking to a lesbian, like, and I've never met a lesbian before. And now I know I've been talking to a lesbian all year. And I'm also like, damn, her commitment to always using he, him, my boyfriend. I'm like,
That's
she's
crazy.
good.
Yeah.
Almost disturbingly so.
Yeah.
So that she could talk about her boyfriend to the 15-year-old that she worked with in the attendance office.
Well, Catholic school does raise good liars.
Oh, I'm so good at lying.
She probably had to do it with her parents too.
Yeah, probably.
I feel like Catholic school does nothing but help people figure out their sexuality a little earlier than the rest of us. Because they're just with the same gender.
Yeah.
Or like any private school. Because they're with the same gender way more.
That's true. You were late though.
I was very late, but
I feel like we're an exception.
I'm an exception, but my senior year of high school, my best friend came out as gay, and she had a girlfriend at school. Like her, she had a girlfriend. She actually had 2 different girlfriends at our school.
Did the nuns know?
No, but also everything about my friend was very gay. Everything about her. So I would be shocked if they weren't like that one. That one.
That one's a problem.
That one's a problem. And so were all her girlfriends. But at the time, it's not like I was not aware of, and I mean, I was very close to someone who was gay, but it never crossed my mind once that it would be me, because I'm like, no, that's not allowed. If she can, love that for her, not me. I can't. I didn't figure that out till college. Because I'm still learning that there are other religions. And then also that you don't even have to be a religion. And also, there are people who aren't white.
That's crazy.
Great, and I grew up in Philadelphia. How is that possible that they kept me away from other races?
In North Philly.
Northeast Philly, which is probably the whitest area of Philadelphia. But still, come on.
That's
like,
crazy.
it's just like Philadelphia is like predominantly a black city.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look at me over here in my Mayo neighborhood. Ridiculous. So no, not me. I was not allowed to be anything but straight, white, and cis. How dare you suggest anything else?
Catholic.
And Catholic.
Did you ever receive judgment from anyone for, I don't want to say being behind, but being like
the people in your life who were having sex and hooking up and having boyfriends, did they give you any judgment?
For not doing those things.
People in my life, like, close to me, no. Because most of the people in my life were also late bloomers because I grew up with other people from Catholic school. People I would meet in adulthood, yes. Big time.
Like
Absolutely.
when you were in college?
Honestly, not even in college. Because in college, I was very much, and we've discussed this, the audience doesn't know this, but I was a little bit evil in college. And I was
all that pent-up Catholic guilt.
Catholic guilt and sexual aggression. In college, I was very much like, I am here for one thing and one thing only, and it is to get my degree, be a successful, independent woman, and kill. Like, I'm not here.
Your murder era.
I'm not here to fuck around, and in the most extreme definition of the word. But when I got out of college, I was like, oh, all my whole structure of my life has now been destroyed. What do? I guess I should start dating. So then I started dating. And then...
Were you on the apps? How did you date?
Yeah, I was on the apps.
Okay.
I'm dating. I'm mostly like on Hinge, Tinder, Bumble, all of the above. And that is where I was like, oh, I'm in my mid-20s at this point, and I'm a virgin, and that's a problem. And it was something that I would lie about, but they would still be able to tell. And something that happened to me that was very prominent was that it was the first time a guy ever ate me out. And now that I've experienced that a couple more times, it was one of the worst. Just, he was really bad at his skill issue.
Even when we met, you thought that you did not like.
No, I hated it. I was like, do not put your mouth near me.
Wait, do you like it now?
Oh, I love it.
Oh,
She just hadn't had a good experience.
I hadn't gotten an update.
I know, I love it now. Skill issue. But first time that ever happened to me, it was like a trauma. Like, it was so bad that it comes up in therapy.
No!
And not only that, but then, so he went down on me. This is a guy that I've been on like 2 dates with on Hinge. And then, obviously, I feel the need to reciprocate in some way, but I refuse to do so. So I'm not going to do anything. So I was like, well, and I made up this lie that, oh, well, like, you know, I don't have health insurance, so I'm not on the pill anymore. I've never been on the pill. Like, I completely lied and said, like, I'm not on the pill right now. Please don't put your dick in me. Like, don't do that. And I'm like, also, I will not be giving you a blowjob. No. So I just didn't do anything. And his response to that is we're laying on the bed after absolutely garbage head. And he says to me, are you a virgin? Like, I just feel like, are you a virgin? You're, like, just not saying so? Which, first of all, fucked up thing to ask.
Insane.
Insane. And I'm just like, I've lied enough tonight. I'm like, yes. And then he kicked me out.
So fucked
He said
He kicked you out after giving you bad head?
He kicked me out and giving me bad head because
you liked him, didn't you? Or previous to this?
I really liked this guy. He'd take me on some great dates. And then I'm like, it was very much like the no head. Get out!
So
Horrible.
Horrible, awful.
Thank God you didn't give it.
Thank God. But like that messed me up so bad that I deleted every app and I did not speak to anyone in a romantic way for 2 years. I do it on a 2-year-long dating hiatus. Like I would not do it. I was traumatized. I'm like, and it made me feel really self-conscious about the fact that I'm like, oh, he kicked me out because I'm a virgin. And that's a bad thing. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do about that? It's too late. I'm already in my late 20s at this point. Like, what am I supposed to do about that? If everyone's going to have a problem, am I just going to be like this forever? So then I just shut down and just would refuse to date. It sucked. So yes, but with strangers, not with my friends.
Terrible. So terrible. What about you?
No. I felt like I judged myself for it more. I had my first kiss when I was 19. As we know in the produce cooler. And I did tell him after, and then I told Ned before we hooked up that I was a virgin, and he was like, "Do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yes." But he didn't have any problems with it because he was about to have sex.
God.
But I didn't feel like any judgments from like my friends or anything for like being a late bloomer.
Yeah.
I just like judged myself because I was like, if nobody wants to kiss me, that means there's something wrong with me.
No, I was the same way. Well, I didn't think mine wasn't a nobody wants to kiss me. Mine was a I don't want to kiss anybody. So there's something wrong with me. The first time I kissed anybody was a game of spin the bottle.
Spin the bottle was the first time I ever kissed a girl.
Oh my god, cute.
I love spin the bottle.
I didn't say that it was my first kiss. I didn't tell anybody that it was my first kiss. And I only did it because I was like, I don't want to be the girl who hasn't kissed anybody. Not because anybody was putting that pressure on me. Like, nobody around me was like, you have to do this. But,
well,
like,
all of it is. It's the whole of, like, society, not to be annoying.
Yes, I'm like, I don't want to be that girl. So
exactly.
I'm going to. And then the second time I kissed somebody was a couple years later, and I cried after.
Yeah.
I cried. I was a boy. That's the only other boy I ever kissed. And I literally sobbed. And it wasn't, I didn't tell that it was like, wow, that kiss was so terrible that I'm crying. It was literally like, what's wrong with me? You're a lesbian, that's the answer. But I literally was like, I don't want this. And so then it was like, you know, I remember like somebody, like a guy who was like in our friend group asked me out, and I was like, no, ew, no. My friends were like, why don't you go, like, why, give him a shot? And I was like, no.
I hate men.
No, never. Like, I was just so, like, put off by it. But I also felt like everybody was judging me. And so it was like trying to find the middle ground of like, but then I would just avoid the topic always. And then the first time I had sex, I didn't say it was my first time. My first date, I didn't say it was my first time.
Me neither.
And I didn't tell any of my friends. I didn't tell, I think, I told my friend Tay, like, but I don't even think I told her the day I had sex. I told her like maybe like a month later. I was like, oh, by the way. And I didn't tell anybody else. I was just like, nobody needs to know. Nobody even really confirmed knew that I was a virgin because I didn't talk about it. So no one really needs to know that I had sex now.
Yeah.
And I also wasn't really out yet at that time. So, but I judged myself for sure a lot.
Do you want to tell us about your first crush?
My first crush. So I've always been.
Me too.
I love, you know? I love crushes. I love it. I love all of it. And I've loved it since I was a kid. And my first crush, like prominent one, was in kindergarten. And there was a boy in my class who I apparently, according to my mother, would stand up, walk across the room in the middle of a lesson, and just start giving this boy a back rub. Being a big freak.
That is not what I thought you were going to say.
No, that's exactly what I would do. I was in love with this boy.
Aww.
But the thing that's extra funny is that there was a girl also in this class who I was obsessed with, to the point that my mom bought me a stuffed animal for Christmas that had the same name as her. Because all I would do is talk about this girl. I think her name was Kirsten. And there was a home video of me at Christmas opening up my present of this stuffed animal, and on the box it says her name is Kirsten. And I went, like in the video, I'm like, Kirsten, like the girl from school. So I'm like actively having a crush on both a boy and a girl at the same time in kindergarten. And no one thought I was a little gay.
No, I think your mom clocked you as bisexual in kindergarten.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And then said nothing. Thanks, Mom.
Your mom wanted you to figure it out on your own.
Oh my god.
Or, well, it took 15 more years. At least.
I was the same way, and I remember coming out to my sister, and I was like all nervous, and I told her that I was lesbian.
I've never heard this story.
Really? And she just looks at me and she goes, Nikki, you hate men. I said, well, you could have told me. Why didn't you tell me?
My dad, after I had I told my mom that I had gone on a date with a girl, and this is I'm an adult. I'm in my 20s. Mm-hmm. I told my mom I'd gone on a date with a girl, and my mom tells my dad everything. So obviously my dad also knew. I never actually said this to my dad, but I knew that he knew. And one time I was home, And my dad has his like little utility backpack that he brings to work that has these little Velcro sections on it where he puts his little flags. So he has an American flag and his Irish flag, and then there's a third one that he switches out for the seasons. So he pulls out, hear me out. So he pulls out a little package that has a pride flag.
Aww.
And he pulls it out and he goes, look at this. Look. And I'm like, great. Didn't figure out at all that he was like, this is for you.
I love Keith.
And then later that day, my mom was like, Morgan, can you go ahead and grab like this tool out of the closet in the hallway? I'm like, sure. So I go walk to the closet, and my dad just goes, Tina, don't make your daughter go back in the closet. And I looked at him just like, how long have you been holding on to that one? How long?
Do you think they choreographed that?
No. My father would. I just know he was sitting there waiting and going, one day she's gonna ask her. One day
I'll have my shot.
One day I'll have my chance. And that chance came, and he took it. He took that chance.
That's so good.
Love my father.
Oh my god.
That's so cute.
You know, I don't really have an answer. So
Like
it's okay if you don't.
silly, like grade school crush. He was in my first grade class, and my best friend also had a crush on him. Which yeah.
Brutal.
Well, her and I looked identical. So yeah, but I never knew which one of us he liked. But him and I sat next to each other, so I got more FaceTime. And nothing ever happened. Like I had his phone number when I moved to Texas, and we would like talk sometimes. But that was it. Like it was too young to be too long distance.
Yeah, I don't really know what my first crush was. I think that I had a ton, but I think that I looked at them like, I want to be her friend, or I want to be her. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't recognize that they were crushes.
They were your Kirsten.
I had a lot of Kirstens. I had a lot of those. I remember one that was like, there was this girl in my sister's grade, so she was a year older than me. And she was like, I talked to her for maybe 10 minutes. That was it. And she was like popular. She was like a cheerleader. And it's like so nice to me. And she was like, oh my god, like, I'm so bad at makeup. Like, you know, like, you have to do my makeup sometime. Like, she was just so sweet. And we had like this conversation. I literally remember coming home and being like, Carrie, who's this girl in your grade? I'm going to describe her to you, and I need you to tell me what her name is, because I didn't get her name because I was nervous. I was like describing her to Carrie. Carrie was like, oh my god, no, she's like the sweetest person. I was like, yeah, she is. She's great.
I'm obsessed with her.
I'm gonna go look her up in the yearbook. But like, I literally was just like, oh, she's so cool. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't really recognize that any of them were crushes.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Until, yeah, like adulthood, and then like coming out and stuff.
Oh, I don't think I ever told you who my first crush on a girl was.
Ooh.
If I say it, though, you have to believe it.
Okay.
Because she follows us.
I'm listening.
What? It was
Oh my god.
I mean, it makes sense, right?
Uh-huh. We'll have to give Morgan the lore another time. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's so funny.
I had a friendship that had lasted from about first grade to junior year of high school. Mm-hmm. My best friend, who was a huge bitch and horrible to me, and when I finally was like, you're a huge bitch and you're horrible to me, and I hate hanging out with you, leave me alone, wrote me a double-sided, single-spaced, like 8-page letter about how much of a piece of shit I was.
double-sided, single-spaced.
Double-sided, single-spaced.
Crazy.
Mailed it to me. Snail
Crazy.
mail. And then only after that is that everybody in my life being like, she had a crush on you. Like, this girl was in love with you. Mm-hmm. And the more I look back on that relationship, I'm like, you're probably right.
Yeah.
So toxic relationship, having crushes in toxic relationships, friendships, never heard of it. What do you mean?
One of my best friends in high school was a similar experience where I was the first person she ever came out to as bi. And she so clearly had a crush on me, and everybody else knew, but I was so deeply in the closet. we used to cuddle. She at one point sent me the song I Like You by Man Overboard, which is a song about liking your best friend. And she said, this reminds me of you. And I think I just replied like, haha. And I didn't find out until she moved. She moved states. And then on her Tumblr account that I was stalking, somebody like she was posting a lot of like sad stuff. And somebody like anonymous, it actually wasn't me, but somebody anonymously messaged her and was like, hey, like what's going on? If you ever need to talk, like I'm here. And then it was something like, oh, like I'm in love with my best friend, but she's straight. And that's when it hit. I figured it out in that moment.
What if she anonymously messaged herself just so she could post it?
And maybe she did, honestly, because she knew I would stalk her.
Well, it's like, I mean, it's a heterosexual relationship, but my boyfriend, in the times that we were just friends, the amount he'd be like, oh, do you like want to come over and watch a movie? Platonically? Like, normal people don't have to use that word. Maybe you could just say that you like me.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Crazy.
With that was prior to my relationship with and Ned. I need to bleep that. And so I that was my first like maybe I am bi, but then I was like, nah, it's just a girl crush. Like you just admire her.
The word girl crush.
She's a really good artist, and so I was jealous of that, and so I was like, maybe I just want to be her.
Yeah.
And so I just like buried it, and then after we stopped being friends, I just everything that like blew up that fall was like right before I left, and so then I started dating a man, and I was like, no, you're fine.
You're fine. You like
You're
men,
fine.
so-
You're fine. You like men. Don't think about it. Don't think about the weird feelings that make you not straight and fine. You're fine. You're fine. And so I panicked.
I think that was the crazy thing with my high school friend too. Is like if I had figured it out, I'm like, would I have come out just so much sooner? I do think I had a lot of like internalized homophobia, but I'm also I did clearly like her, and it was like, and it's so weird.
I had a crush on a girl in preschool.
Bro, it's so weird looking back on it because I'm like, we were so, like, it was so clearly romantic. We like fell asleep on the trampoline once with like her head in my lap, like watching the stars. I'm like, what? Like, that's what I'm saying. I literally was like, I'm straight, but also I kissed a man one time and I cried. Like somebody like put her.
I'm watching the stars. I'm counting the stars with my girl best friend.
Just my girl best friend.
And that made me cry.
Yeah,
because I'm so disgusted by them touching me.
Oh yeah, get away from me. But like, obviously, I'm not gay because that could never be me. It's fine. It's totally fine. See, I once cut this girl off. A good friend of mine. I say this girl. Okay, I have this friend group, really close friend group. There's 4 of us. 2 of them go on like a camping trip together or something. But there's like, I don't know what it was because there were like boys there. I don't remember what the vibe was. But basically, my one friend 1, like blew off friend 2 one time to hang out with a boy, which obviously my friend was upset about. She came back and told me about it, and they talked it out, and she forgave her. She was like, "It's fine. You did it one time." I never forgave her. We literally stopped being friends because I was like, I don't know why you would do that to her.
Why would you ever?
Terrible human being. Why would you ever pick a boy over her? And that's what I mean when I was like, I was sabotaging my relationships. I think she's really cool. I think we would literally be best friends to this day if we kept up. Like, I think she's awesome, but I was such a bitch in middle school to her because she was the boy crazy one. She was like our boy crazy friend. She always had a boyfriend. She was always dating somebody. She was always talking about boys. And so I was just mean to her. But I think that I was jealous because I kind of like, I wanted to be that, but I didn't like boys. And it never once occurred to me that I liked girls. And maybe I had a little crush on her. I don't know. It's honestly hard to say. Couldn't tell you. I'd believe it.
So you mentioned earlier how this guy kicked you out because you wouldn't have sex with him.
Right.
Tell us about the first guy you did have sex with.
Okay. I did not lose my virginity until I was 27. And I lost it in a one-night stand. That I kind of regret.
Oh! I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
I met him
Phoebe, lay
through
down.
a friend of a friend, like a friend through
down.
work. And this friend through work was crazy. She was crazy. And she wanted to go out clubbing at like 2 a.m. every night.
At 2 a.m.?
Like at 2 a.m. Like we were out
What
like
clubs are open at 2 a.m.?
the scary ones. They're like underground after hours clubs.
Wait, I kind of want to go to one.
No, you don't. No, you don't. So
I want to go to one for pod research.
Yeah, we'll go.
So I'm at these clubs.
Okay.
I was going through something at the time. I had just met Nikki at the time. And I was going through something. I had just quit my job. I'm unemployed. I'm depressed. I hate everything.
Okay.
You also just met Caitlin.
Yes, I had
We
just met
been
you.
friends, and you guys met at my birthday.
Oh!
Yeah, you met me like 2 weeks before this happened.
Oh, slay.
Yeah.
And that's just the worst time of her life.
Oh, I was at rock bottom.
Glad I got to meet
Perfect time.
Virgin Morgan.
Perfect time to lose your virginity at 27 at rock bottom. So
I mean, I think it's a great time.
exactly. So I meet this guy, and basically, I'm out this club with this whole group of friends, and there's one hideous man. He's hideous, who will not leave me alone, and he's up my ass the whole time. There's this other guy who was at like the pregame. He was with us with everything. He is painted nails, earrings, overalls.
That's
So-
my type. Do you still have his number?
Yeah, but I'm like, oh, that guy's gay. So
That's my type.
yeah, no, me too. So I'm like, well, that guy's gay, so I'm not interested in him. I'm not gonna even entertain him because he's not interested in me. So this ugly, hideous man will not leave me alone. And then Overalls, which is what we refer to him as, Overalls comes over and defends my honor.
Oh.
And basically is like, she said, fuck off, dude. Leave her alone. And then I'm like, wow. I genuinely don't remember most of the rest of the night. All I know is that there was a video of him throwing me up against the wall and just like I mean,
I've seen the video.
never in my life has a tongue been that far down my throat.
Can I see the video?
No.
He was retired. Do you still have it?
I probably deleted it. I can't. So anyway, we're at these terrifying after hours clubs, and he looks at me and he goes, the classic line, "Do you want to get out of here?"
That's my favorite line.
Yeah. And at the time,
Because yes, I do.
at the time, I'm unemployed and I live alone. So I'm like, yeah, come to my place. I live alone. So we get an Uber. We go back to my apartment. This is the funny part, is that we walk into my apartment and he goes, "Smells like cinnamon." And I'm like, yeah, it's an air freshener. And I'm like, he's like, okay. It smells like my mom's house. Which is a great thing to say right before you have sex.
That's horrifying.
For the first time, he doesn't know this. I did not tell him, and he will never know. I never told him.
Unless he's listening to this.
Unless he's listening to this podcast, then
You
hi.
should send it to him.
So I'm like, do you want to watch a movie? So we turn on a movie. What do we turn on? Fucking Spider-Man 2002.
Nothing like Tobey Maguire to get you in the
Tobey Maguire.
mood.
Exactly. And then we maybe make it 15 minutes into the movie, and then I'm like, actually, this is the moment, this is the time, I'm doing it. And I just rolled over, straddled him on the sofa, and went, like, let's go. And
Did you say the words?
no, in my head I did. And then I stood up, grabbed his hand, brought him to the bedroom. So then I got rocked to the sound of Tobey Maguire.
Was it
in the
good?
background. It was. So now that I have had much more sex, it was rough.
Like, in a good way or a bad way?
Throwing me around like a rag doll with no bones.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Like, some people don't like that. So,
I also had nothing to compare it to. And I also did did let him go in raw. So
She didn't have anything. She was a virgin.
Why didn't you have anything? What?
And he's like, oh, I didn't bring a condom, and I'm like, oh well, we're doing it. I'm doing it now. Okay,
Were you on
thing.
birth control?
No, I'm on birth control. I'm a virgin.
What?
I wanted to do it now. I'm not gonna wait for the Go Puff driver to get here.
The Go Puff driver. Oh my god. Can I say this? She texted Sarah in the morning and asked her to get her a plan B.
Yes, I did.
Which she did. Shout out to Sarah.
And the thing that fucked me up.
Okay, I did know that, so this all makes sense.
So the thing about that experience that fucked me up
Oh
is
my
that
God.
then I wake up in the morning. He spent the night, and then I wake up in the morning, and he is dressed and trying to leave without saying anything. And
Gotta make a quick exit.
I woke up with him trying to sneak out of my apartment, and I look at him. I'm like, oh, are you leaving? And then he like looked at me and was like, oh. Yeah.
At least say goodbye. Damn.
Wasn't even gonna say goodbye.
That's crazy.
But then what fucked me up is that he leaned down, kissed me, and
That's
he said,
weird.
Bye, and then left. And I
Also, were you gonna leave my door unlocked while I was sleeping?
would have left my door unlocked. I didn't have his phone number. Nothing. I didn't even remember his name.
Overalls.
Do you know his name now?
I do know his name now. I
I
did
don't.
see him again at another party. But I know his name now. At the time, I was like, so I had sex last night, and then our friend Sarah was like, what was his name? Like, I don't know.
Gun to my head, I couldn't tell you this man's name. I have no idea what it is.
I know it now, but I won't say it, just in case.
Yeah.
Overalls.
Overalls.
And that was the first time I had sex.
That's a good story.
It sucks that you regret it, and I'm so
I do
sorry.
regret it, and I do regret it, and the reason I regret it is because now I realize being, like, in a relationship, I'm like, aftercare is way more important than I thought it was.
You need that.
Foreplay and aftercare are so important.
Yeah.
Yes, and there was a lot of foreplay, and there was no aftercare. And now,
Did you think there was a lot of
there's a
foreplay?
lot of foreplay,
Oh.
no aftercare.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, wait, that's
Wait,
like...
how is there no aftercare and he spent the night?
Well, he immediately fell asleep.
Crazy.
Like, fell asleep immediately, he was, like, a teenager.
That's crazy.
And now, being, like, in a committed relationship, I'm like, we've had the conversation where I'm like, you are not allowed to fall asleep, like, after sex. You have to hold me.
Yeah.
Like, that's very important. I need that. Or I will cry next to you in the bed. And it's like, that I did not know because I'm never done it before. And it's like,
Yeah.
the thing that's really difficult is being at such an older age and not knowing what I need.
Yeah.
So it felt a lot more intense of being like, I should know this, but I don't. And it feels embarrassing to not know. And that I was really ashamed that it took me that long and I was that scared to do it for so long. And then when I did it, I was like, that wasn't even scary.
Yeah.
And now I'm entering this whole new world of sex, and I don't know what I like. I don't know what I need after. I don't know what's important to me, and I'm too old to not know that, which isn't true.
Yeah.
But that's what it felt like to me.
Do you think being a late bloomer affects your relationship to dating or sex to this day?
Yes.
Would you like to elaborate?
Yes, I will. So I have shared all of my traumas and hesitancies and fear around sex with my boyfriend. So he knows how I feel about sex and how even now it scares me, and like every now and then I get scared about it and I get in my head about it and I overthink, and I think that's a combo of the Catholic guilt and just the late bloomer of it all. But something he said to me that makes me laugh, honestly, because he said to me not long ago, we've been committedly dating for about 4-ish, maybe 5 months now. And he said to me maybe a month ago that we have a lot more sex than he thought we would. And And because
I love that for you.
thank you.
Congratulations.
Because when we've known each other for a year, and we've only been dating for about 4 or 5 months, and he's like knowing you and how like the things that you shared about your life and your relationship with sex, he's like, I was fine with and had come to terms with the fact that we probably wouldn't have a lot of sex because it's not something that you enjoy. It's something that scares you, and like you have there's a lot happening with you in your head about sex. So he's like, I was aware that we probably would not have as much sex as maybe I want to or may feel normal or anything like that. And he had said to me, he's like, we're having a lot more sex than I thought that we would. And I then remember looking at him and thinking about that statement a lot, because I'm like, yeah, why is that? And it's like, well, this is the first person that I've been intimate with that I feel completely safe with, which is something I've never felt before. And it's like, well, yeah, I want to have sex with you all the time, because I haven't, and I like it, and it's fun, and I haven't been doing it for as long as everybody else has. And I it's not like I feel like I need to catch up. It's just kind of like I feel like I'm like, ooh, new toy, yay! Like I want to do this all I like this, and also I'm not scared of you. Like I've been so scared of every other person I've been intimate with before, and I'm not scared of this person. So it's like, of course I want to have sex with you all the time. I feel completely safe and secure and protected and taken care of with you. So yeah, take your pants off. Like that's exactly what I want.
That's really cute, actually.
And it's very nice.
Yeah.
In a gross way.
Yeah.
It's very romantic. And it's like that. It sucks that it took so long to find something like that. And it's stupid to wonder if I could have found that earlier, and to just appreciate that I found it.
Yeah.
At all. Like, a lot of people probably don't at all.
I don't think it's stupid to wonder, like, oh, could I have found this earlier? Because we live in, like, a society that pushes this narrative, like, oh, you're going to go to school, and you're going to meet the love of your life in college.
Exactly.
And then you're going to graduate, you're going to get a job that, like, is 9 to 5 and pays you this wonderful salary, and you're going to have 2.5 kids, and you're going to buy a house with a white picket fence. And, like, that's just the normal narrative for our country, so I don't think it's weird to think, like, could I have found this earlier?
Yeah.
I think it's normal.
Yeah. Like, it's stupid to think about that, but it's still something that I think about.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, how much of being raised Catholic, like, has to do with that, just overall societal pressures, being a late bloomer, like, what is that? But it's stupid to think about, but it's still something that I think about, and I feel like probably a lot of people in my shoes do.
I think especially with you, like, you're the only person of all of our friends, of all of my friends, whose parents are happily together.
Yeah. That too.
And they had what Caleb was just describing, you know? And so I feel like that also gives you, like, an added pressure of, like, you've seen it it happen, and, like, why isn't it happening for me?
Yes, and that's, like, something that I've been talked about with my boyfriend, where his parents are divorced, and he has said, he's like, I live my life terrified of having a relationship like my parents.
Yeah, I think that's how we are.
And then I looked at him and I said, I live my life terrified that I won't.
Yeah.
Like, I'm terrified that I will not find the companionship that my parents have.
I have known my entire life I don't want to get married, like, ever since I was a kid, and I don't want children. And because of this narrative that our society pushes, there's still, like, some small part of me that is like, am I going to meet the love of my life and have this fictional, life that isn't possible to have, especially now with the way, like, our economy and society is going. Yeah. But, like, I'm like, am I ever going to have that? But then I'm like, I think about it, and then I'm like, I don't want that. And I've never wanted that. But I like, find myself thinking about it, and then I'm like, why am I thinking about it?
Yeah, it's just, like, so ingrained in your head.
The, like, 1/32 part of my brain is like, but what if? And I'm like, no. We don't want that. And I'm like, it's just like, it's so deeply engraved in us from such a young age to like want that, that like sometimes I'm just like thinking about it, that like, oh, but you could be the exception to that. And I'm like,
Yes.
but first of all, I know I'm not going to be the exception to that. I'm not going to be Morgan's parents.
And like being raised Catholic and being like the only thing that you're gonna do is get married and have babies. And I think in my early 20s, mid 20s, it was like, I'm not having kids. Like I was very much the person who was like, I'm never having kids. I'm not gonna do that. And I almost think that was a rebellion against the Catholicism I was raised in. And now being like older and like having a better like grip on the things that I want, not just what somebody else wants, what society wants from me. It's like, no, I would have children with the right person.
Yeah.
And if I don't have the right person, I'm not going to have children, and I'm not going to feel bad about that. But it's like, it would be something that I want if my partner would be a really good co-parent. And if they're not, if my partner is like a party animal and we're going to go travel the world and have fun for the rest of our lives, hell yeah. We're not having kids. I'm not going to ruin that. But if like they're going to be a great like co-parent for me, yeah, I'll have kids. But I'm not going to have kids because the church wants me to.
Yeah.
I'm going to have kids because I want to.
Well, yeah, I feel like growing up with, you know, thinking your entire worth as a person
Exactly.
is based on your ability to find a man, marry a man, and birth children. Nothing's going to put you off wanting children more than that.
Exactly.
Crazy.
What about you? How's being a late bloomer affected your relationship to dating and sex?
I don't think it really affected my relationship to sex at all. Like, I think that I mean, it did early on. It did to, like, you know, obviously feeling the pressure I put on myself, as I was saying, about, like, feeling like I was late, feeling like I was behind. And I think that it made me really nervous. But also, everyone's nervous for, like, their first time.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's just, like, a
It's
normal
scary.
experience, regardless of age. I think it way more so affected my dating, because I already have pretty negative views on, like, dating and, like, pretty negative examples of relationships, and then also being late to the game and then feeling like, oh, but, like, what if I want a girlfriend? And then, like, going out and dating. I think that one was more affected. Like, what am I doing? What do I want? I don't know what I want, because for most of my life I was like, am I asexual? Am I aromantic? I don't want any of this. And then, like, finding out, like, oh, no, I'm just a lesbian. Then having to be like, okay, then what the fuck do I want? Do I want a relationship? Do I want this? Do I know how to do that?
Like I think like something currently that I'm like, I have not had a relationship since I was 17 years old. And every day I wake up, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fuck this up. Like, I'm going to fuck it up because I have no idea what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, I really just missed out on all this growth of, like, the trial and errors. And it's like, well, shit, like, I found this really nice one and I don't want to fuck it up.
Yeah.
But it's like, the things that are meant for you will be there. You cannot fuck up what is meant for you. So it's like, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I think even, like, in, like, the earlier stages of dating where I'm kind of, like, sometimes I think I'm too easy on people. Sometimes I think I'm too hard on people. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm like, because I didn't have I'm 17 and dating some person I go to school with, like,
I'm a
trial
kid.
run.
Yes, a kid. Like, that's different.
It's like, I'm in the real world where people know what they want and they know what they're looking for, and they have
shit
multiple
figured out.
Yeah, they have their shit figured out. They have so many relationships. They've been having sex for years, and I'm like, hi, I'm new here and I don't know what I'm looking for.
Exactly. It's terrifying. You feel like you're entering this world where everybody is at expert level and you just started at beginner and you're like, bro, I don't even know how to play Guitar Hero.
Bro, what do I press to jump?
Literally.
I mean, what do I press X for? What is X? Does that feel good? What's going on?
Where do I find C?
What's a side quest?
What's going on?
What are you talking about?
And then it would be so off-putting to me when somebody's like, which is probably a good thing, like, so, like, open and honest about exactly what they're looking for. But I'm like, I just met you. I just met you 30 seconds ago. I don't know what I want.
Yeah.
I have no idea what I'm looking for
Yeah.
because I don't know what I want in general, but then I also don't know you, and I need to know you to know what I want.
And now you are scary because you know what you want, and that's terrifying.
You're scaring me.
You are I'm scared. Get out of my house, literally.
I've been there so many times where like they know what they want.
Yep.
And what they want is me. And
Yes!
Yeah.
I'm like the big red buzzer on America's Got Talent. I'm like, brr, 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 out.
I didn't want this.
I didn't want this. This is what I wanted.
I'm new here.
This is my first
I'm
day.
level 1.
I'm level 1. It's my first day. Okay, I'm scared. Mom, come pick me up.
Yeah, literally. Oh my god, you did talk on a little bit, but do you have any more thoughts on your relationship?
Yeah, I feel like because I like didn't start dating till later now, and I felt like nobody was interested in me. It like attached to my self-worth a lot.
Yeah.
And so now anyone who gives me attention, I like grasp onto it.
Yeah.
And I like hold on to it way longer than I should.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten way better at it.
Mm-hmm.
But especially when I was like 19, 20, first starting out dating.
Oh, the worst age.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
the worst.
That's an age you should be banned from dating.
You should be tied up in a room.
And I wasn't doing any dating, and I think it was great for me, honestly.
And
I was evil at 19 and 20.
You were evil. I'm gonna have to have you come back and tell your
Talk about my
talk about your
villain
evil
era.
era. Yeah.
yeah, the first
Let me write that
people to show me attention were like not good people, and I think they like picked up on that fact and they took advantage of it, and I let them, and so then the people who came after that was like that slow transition out of that where they gave me attention and I grabbed it, but then I was like, this attention doesn't feel so good, and so now it's almost the opposite where like someone is like, I want to give you attention, and I'm like, yuck. Get away from me.
Yep.
Or like they pay me a compliment and I'm like, are you a love bomber? Get away from me.
The minute like, you're pretty,
And I'm like,
Bob.
I literally.
It's like that's babe. They're just giving you a compliment. Like, it's
Literally.
okay.
But then I'll send Nikki like screenshots of like guys on dating apps who literally are love bombing me. Like they haven't even met me yet, and they're like, they're like just going off, and I'm like, can you please stop? Like they're in town for just a weekend, and I'm not free to hang out with them, and they're like, I wish I met you in a different time, and I'm like, shut up.
Bro, shut
up.
up. Just go back home and get over it.
Get over it.
Yeah.
They're like, I just can tell, like, you're just so perfect. And I'm like, actually, I'm a mess. I'm a train wreck, so please go away.
Yeah, I have that problem where I feel like anybody who's like too nice or too complimented of me like early on, I'm like, get lost.
Yeah.
It's like such a red flag for me because I'm like, you don't know me.
Yeah.
You don't know me enough to be making those statements. And sometimes I think it's a good thing. Like sometimes I think it's like very clearly I'm dodging a red flag, and then sometimes I do think it's like she's just being nice and I'm being a bitch. And it's hard to find the line. It's so hard. But I think that I'm really hard, and not when it comes to like sex, I'll kind of hook up with anybody. You just need to be like hot and communicative. Like that's really it. But when it comes to dating, I literally couldn't be pickier. I can be kind of mean. I can be really picky. It's like, I don't know even for sure that that's what I want, but if it is what I want, it's because you have to check every box, and my list of boxes is so long. It's so long.
My standards are in a galaxy that even scientists don't know about. It's so high.
Yes, literally. And I think it's a good thing in most cases.
Yes.
But I think sometimes sometimes I think it's a problem that I'm like,
well, I always look at it
fine
as
and
like,
I was mean.
Like this person is auditioning for the biggest role ever.
Yeah.
Why would I settle for a second best actor? You know?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
this is an important job.
Yeah.
This is big. Why would I settle?
I'm happy being single. I like being single. And so, but it's like I could also very well see myself getting married, being in a relationship.
Right.
It would she would have to be perfect. I'm happy without it. So I don't need you. I don't if you only check half the boxes, 75% of the boxes, get lost. I don't need you. I'm totally happy.
I
But
hear-
if you check them all, great.
I hear that
Amazing.
saying that, like, when you date me, you're competing with my peace.
Yeah.
And
good.
and now, like,
Good way
that
of
is a
putting
good
it.
now my peace is, like, so, like, I'm so content with myself right now that,
Yes.
like, you gotta be so good. And so, like, I don't date because I just truly don't, like, I have not found anyone who's, like, so at that level yet.
Yeah.
But then, like, anytime that I, like, find someone that I, like, doing, like, consistently hooking up with, like, friends with benefits, fuck buddies, whatever, I start to get into that narrative of, like, you know, the whole, like, they could be the one scenario where I'm like, okay, what if this is, like, fuck buddies to lovers trope? And then I, like, you know, and logically I know that's not gonna happen, but emotionally I'm like, what if?
Yeah.
And I'm like, can you just shut the fuck up, brain? Like, we don't want that, even if that were to happen.
Yeah.
So, like, get lost.
I guess, in conclusion,
Mhm.
being a late bloomer is not a bad thing.
No.
Mm-mm.
And it doesn't matter. Well, first of all, virginity is a construct.
Yep.
And virginity is defined by you and nobody else.
Yeah.
And if you have not broken the cherry that you defined, that does not make you lesser of a person because of it. And the world is scary no matter what.
Yeah.
And it's okay for it to be scary. Just make sure that the people that you choose to do the scary things with are kind to you and are taking your fears into account and are being nice about it. And those are not as hard to find as you think that they are. They're there, and sometimes they're on dating apps, but usually they're not.
I'm putting the applause on that.
You have
100%.
value no matter who puts their genitals on you.
Yes. And it doesn't matter
Period.
Period.
Lots of people.
Points were made.
Nobody ever. Doesn't matter.
Nobody ever. Nobody or everybody.
Doesn't matter.
You have value, and that
Yes.
does not define you
Yes.
as a person, and it shouldn't define how you feel about yourself. But if it does, that's okay. You're allowed to be scared about it, and that's fine. I've been there.
And if you have any funny stories about being a late bloomer,
Mm-hmm.
write them into us.
Please share them. Because I think the thing that's funniest about being a late bloomer is that we don't talk about it.
We don't.
We
Yeah.
keep it a secret.
We
Because
lie.
We're ashamed. We lie. And it's nice to hear. It's not like it's nice to have a community of us to
It
talk about it
is.
because it's funny.
It is
It's
funny.
funny because it's so much funnier to lose your virginity at 27 than at 16.
It is.
You're so funny and cool.
You
You're
are.
so interested.
You're so much hotter at 27 than 16.
You're so much hotter. Oh my god, I love. I'm like, oh, I know I'm hot. I can be out here knowing that I'm hot and I'm funny, and I can tell such a funny story. It's so much funnier.
You've already been through your trauma.
Yeah,
So now you're funny.
I want to know your funny trauma. Please tell us.
And nobody gets hit on or flirted with or approached more than Morgan of any person that I know. So
Well, my
you
first
had your many
mention-
opportunities.
My first mention on the podcast was you guys talking about the hellhole that was swiping through my hinge. Your hell. You were like, she's so hot, I don't know what these men are thinking they have a chance with
And I
her.
stand by it.
And
stand
you were
by it.
right. And
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Look at her.
And one got through. One.
One made it past.
One.
We didn't think the day would happen.
We didn't think it would happen. Boys, we never thought the day would come.
And it would be okay if it didn't.
And it would be okay
But I'm
if it
happy
did.
for you that it did.
Thank you. I'm happy for me too. And I'll be happy for you too. Please share your traumas. I want to hear them. I need to hear them for solidarity.
You're just monologuing.
I love it. I'm obsessed with it. Whoreologypodcast@gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
Or you could DM us on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Whoreology Pod.
Yeah. Whoreology pod. Whoreology podcast at gmail.com. We love it, baby.
Love it.
Love it.
Thank you so much for coming on here.
Quick, thank you for
And talking
having
about
me.
your trauma.
Thank you so much for having me.
And she's gonna be back a lot. We have her on like 3 more episodes.
Yeah.
I can't wait to be back. I'm so
We-
excited.
and now we have to add one for the villain era.
You're
yeah,
right.
Yeah, just the podcast, Every Girl's Villain.
Can't wait.
When will it happen? 16 or 60? We'll never know.
It'll come.
It'll come one day. You will kill people.
You actually murdered somebody.
I have not
People are
killed
gonna think we're
anyone.
harboring a fugitive right now.
Nobody died.
No one's dead.
People
Physically.
were harmed.
But no one's dead physically.
Just in your mental hit list.
And remember, you got bullied by a virgin.
Oh my god. That's good. That's really good.
That's a good one, yeah.
Anyway.
Alright. That's it.
Yeah, I'm all talked out.
Yeah, we've been talking forever.
I'm done.
Goodbye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
And love
Love you.
Bye!